Hey everybody, this is Ricky Rackman from Headbangers Ball and the Cat House Hollywood podcast, and you are listening to Talk to Me. And of course, remember to keep one foot in the gutter, one fist in the gold.
What is up, everybody? Welcome into Talk to Me. This is episode 209. The guest this week is Paul Ryan of the band Origin. And you might ask yourself, why Paul Ryan of Origin? Seems like an odd choice for the Talk to Me podcast, but I have to say that in 1999, I was on tour in my pre-Primer 55 band, 12 Volt Negative Earth, and we went to see Napalm Death while we were having a day off in Kansas, and we saw this band Origin open up, and they were a local band at the time. It was before they got signed. And so it's been one of those cool things of watching this band that we were blown away by back in 1999, 20 years ago, continue to rise the ranks of the death metal world. And so when I got the opportunity to interview Paul, I jumped right on it because it's one of those bands that have just been around forever. And I think that that's one of the things that's lost in this world of the internet is bands actually getting out there and paying their dues and grinding. Because you can't just happen upon a band like that just surfing the internet. You know, you're not going to build relationships with random bands if you're not out touring. So now 20 years later, Paul's on the podcast. So it's very cool to have him on. We do get into that topic on the interview of knowing him from so many years ago. So it was cool to catch up with Paul. Not a very long interview because Paul was driving. They're out on tour with the mighty Deicide. So that is always awesome. Getting to tour with Deicide would be an absolute blast. Hopefully he did tell Glenn Benton that I said hello because I think that's hilarious.
My name is Scott Bowling. I have a show called Good Company. Good Company is a show where we film artists in the rock genre and we talk about their first record all the way to where they are now. We've interviewed bands like Korn and Seven Dust and Rich Ward. You can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook under Good Company or Good Company with Bowling. So please, if you get a chance, check it out.
Good Company!
So if you want to reach out to the Talk to Me podcast, make sure you are hitting up at Talk to Me Talk on Twitter, facebook.com/TalkToMeTalk, or you can email me directly, talktometalk@gmail.com. Drop me a line. Let me know what you guys think of Origin. Let me guys know what you think of last week's episode with Preston Nash or 2 weeks ago with the mighty Ricky Rackman. So many good episodes lately, and it's been so much fun having those guys on the show. So before we talk to Paul Ryan, let's listen to some Origin, talk to Paul, check out some more Origin, hit up a classic Deicide track because they're out on tour together, and then I will talk to you momentarily.
Hey, what's up? This is Donald Tardy. You are listening to Talk to Me. Turn that shit up.
before we dive into this, and it's actually kind of cool that we're doing an interview about an album that's kind of it's stated as re-recorded and recreated from early Origin stuff. And actually, you and I met probably 20 years ago in Kansas, and I believe that was even before you guys were signed. While I was on tour in a band called 12 Volt Negative Earth, so it's been a very long time.
Wow. Yeah, you played in that band?
Yeah, I played in the band. I believe you kept in touch maybe with Cody, our guitar player, but I played bass for that band.
Okay, yeah, Cody, we crossed paths, I think, one other time, and we talked briefly, so that's cool. I remember 12 Volt Negative Earth.
Yeah, it's very cool. Actually, in some of the old tour videos that we have, we always had a camera rolling, and I know I have some early Origin concert footage from that night. I believe you guys were maybe opening for Napalm Death, if I'm not mistaken, or somebody like that.
Oh, yeah, that was in 99. We opened for Napalm Death. That's cool. You have footage of that. That's awesome.
So with this new album, and tell me the album title, because I'm going to get it wrong if I try to say it. So what's the album title?
Okay. Abiogenesis, coming into existence.
All right, and with the release here, it says re-recorded and recreated from the original stuff. What does that exactly mean?
Okay, basically, it started out with the idea of Begonia Records contacting me because the Coming Into Existence EP had been out of print for nearly 2 decades, and so they inquired about putting it out, and total running time is just under 15 minutes. So,
nice.
It was just a 4-song EP, and they wanted to put it out. They asked if there was any other stuff, and I said, well, I have to stuff I recorded of songs that I wrote pre-Origin. It's just been sitting around, but it needed to be. It was nearly done, but I didn't. They just kept bugging me about it, and it became more and more serious. This was a 3-year thing that they're talking about. They started asking me in 2014. They kept pressing about putting it out. So I would work on it and then lose interest in it. New Origin was always more pressing and precedent. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
In the back of my mind, I was like, I built it in layers and took time with it. It wasn't like something I was working on daily, so it'd just be like, hey, I found some old lyric sheets, so maybe I'll go put the lyrics down on it for real. So
now,
that was the basic idea of it.
Now, are these just old songs that you've recorded currently, or are these actual old tracks that you've updated with, adding stuff to?
No, basically, it's just old songs that I've had garage recordings,
mm-hmm.
And I basically was just taking material and recording it, instead of the old days of I was just using Pro Tools, stuff like that. And I don't know, it's something like the drums were recorded almost 6 years ago now, you know what I mean? And the songs basically are exactly the same. The vocals, there was other people in the band, but I mimicked the vocals and stuff. And I had to relearn the guitar solo on Sanity and stuff like that. So, there was a little bit of effort, to get it done, but it was just something that was songs that were just sitting around, and it kind of complemented the Coming Into Existence EP. So I didn't want to call it a Coming Into Existence with bonus tracks.
Right.
So I would try to go with something that sounded very Origin, and abiogenesis is the creation of something from nothing, and then a Coming Into Existence is the true formation of Origin, and then the self-title is named Origin, and there you go. I just try to make it sound like the formation of the band, and I just thought it would sound cheesy with Coming Into Existence now with remastered and better artwork and bonus tracks, you know what I mean? So just sounded cooler.
Well, the one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and it's actually kind of funny that once I delved into this release a little bit more and found out that it was re-recordings of early stuff, is the modern recording process, I think, has benefited death metal and extreme metal probably more than any other genre, because you can get down to the nuts and bolts, and you're playing so fast that there's not so much, especially like in the drumming and stuff, you can kind of like get in there and not have so much going on. You can take it apart and solo out drum kick or kick drum sounds and tom sounds, and you can really get in there and fine tune everything rather than just 16 drum mics all going at once, just picking up every little thing. Did you kind of find re-recording some of this stuff? And I know you said you got it from garage recordings, but early demos and things like that, kind of going back in and digging into this stuff, like how far the recording process has come.
I mean, it's completely different than recording tape, stuff like that. I mean, yes, there's editing, and like what I try to do was not go into the editing wormhole. You know what I mean? That's the only thing. I mean, there's some sway to it. It's not perfect. It's not like perfect per se, as in like a modern day recording or a modern day Origin recording. Yes, it was editing, stuff like that. I mean, I wanted it to sound good, but I wanted it to have kind of that earlier 90s feel. I didn't want it to be what Origin is today, and it doesn't sound like Origin is today. It's like the prequel to what the band is. You know what I mean? It gives you an idea of where extreme music was from, in my mindset, in the early 90s. And I was just trying to replicate the sounds of extreme music at that time with the knowledge that I kind of had and create my own stamp on it. So I think it gives an idea, of kind of how far Origin came in 20-some years.
Yeah, and that's the one thing, talking a little bit earlier about, seeing you guys around the time you guys got signed, maybe a little bit before, but that's been fun for me to watch, is like the rise of the band and how far you guys have come. And, anytime I see any kind of, extreme metal, death metal fest type stuff, I mean, you guys are always high up on the bill and things like that. And that's been great for me to watch.
I mean, we're very honored to be, we're just a, daily grind man, working band, you know what I mean? Like, we've done it through touring and putting out albums, and, it's a long ways to top. You want to rock and roll, and it's even longer if you want to grind it. So,
right.
So we've been, happy to have, get on vinyl.
Looks like you're currently out on tour with Deicide. How did that come about? Glenn Benton is a friend of the show. He's been on a couple of times, so it's cool to see you guys out with Deicide.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, and I have to say, Origin would not exist. I mean, without Deicide, they were like one of the pioneers of extreme music and the dual vocal approach. And, so honored to share the stage with them. And, I mean, they've always been one of the most brutal and controversial death metal bands of all time, in my opinion. And, man, they have a great fan base. And, like the shows have been great. I mean, there's some kids that never heard Deicide that are Origin fans. And I'm sure there's plenty of older guys that haven't heard Origin, even though we've been out over 20 years now. That Deicide's been out just over 30. So, that's the thing, we're still out. We're still going out and playing in front of people and nobody's heard of us before. You know what I mean? So, pretty awesome, actually.
How do you take, I know you guys have been at it for a very long time. How do you take, kind of in the last, I'd say 10, 12 years, it seems like an uprising in extreme music and in very heavy stuff and deathcore and everything going on. Like there's with the, even in the advancements of the recording process, it seems like there's a lot more guys out there, and, even Gent kind of delves into the super heavy stuff. How do you take the kind of the uprising in the heavy music again?
Well, I mean, it's awesome. I mean, there was a time when, I remember when they were worried about death metal dying, you know what I mean? And the strong that survived, and there's been some interesting and new hybrids, and kids are taking their own approach to music, and taking it into places that early death metal probably never even thought existed, or would ever exist. And that's fine. I mean, everyone has their own voice, their own song, their own sound. Or hopefully, you could carve your own path in life. And, music has been very beneficial to me in various formats, but, if people are making music and extreme music, and that just means that people are paying attention to what music I'm creating, or bands like Deicide, and hopefully they're putting enough of their own spin on it that it creates their own style and sound. That maybe someday there'll be some kid that, just like me, I used to listen to all the bands or watch the videos and buy the tapes and CDs, and then I was went home and tried to play my guitar, emulate the sounds in my own way to create music that I made in the origin. So I'm sure, I don't even know where extreme music will go to next. You know what I mean? So it's awesome that I don't know if I'll ever get back to the glory days of where it was on MTV all the time. But there is definitely a lot more touring going on than there was back then, in my opinion, for extreme music.
So one of the kind of the hot topics that of right now is Slipknot releases a new song yesterday. The internet blows up about how they don't like it, they do like it, but it's pretty singy chorus. But for the most part, Slipknot's pretty extreme. And I remember hearing, I believe it was Slayer talking about either Disturbed or Godsmack, one of those bands, and they're like, we're not going to hate on them because it's kind of like let the kids get into Godsmack, and they're going to eventually want something heavier, and that brings them right on to Slayer, is, kind of paraphrasing what Kerry King said. And with a band like Slipknot, I think that if kids get into Slipknot, I think that's kind of like as soon as they want something heavier, it feels like they would go to a band like Origin. Do you kind of hope for the success of a band like Slipknot to kind of hit through the mainstream so that the kids kind of get into it and get introduced to heavier stuff and to move on to Origin at some point?
I mean, that's exactly the truth. Every time a band or a Slipknot or Slayer, unfortunately Slayer says they're done. I hope not, but they seem to keep touring with, every time those bands release an album, that never heard Metallica, they'll put it on the radio and be like, oh man, something will strike their ear. And, I was that kid, I heard, Black Sabbath and Kiss, and then I heard Motley Crue, and I heard Maiden, Judas Priest, and then I heard Slayer, and Celtic Frost, and Possessed, and Creator, and Voivod, and then I heard Cryptic Slaughter, and I heard Napalm, and I heard Carcass, and Deicide, and these, just to me, I got to hear it kind of grow naturally. Where I don't even know if as a kid, if I just started and pushed play on Origin, if I'd like it, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I grew into liking that style. I was looking for something more extreme. So, yeah, I haven't heard the new Slipknot track, but like I said, there's going to be some kid that wasn't interested in this kind of music at all. And, Kiss is a long ways off from Origin, but you know what I mean? They have the imagery, and it got me I was into the music, and at least some of it. But and there's a broad gap in between. But every time one of those large bands puts out, there's always a new influx of kids that never listen to heavy metal or metalcore. I don't even know what you call Slipknot, but they're one of the largest rock heavy metal metalcore bands out there. I don't even know what they categorize
right.
as, but you know what I mean? There's going to be some kid, some guy or girl that all of a sudden is like, this is it. I love this. Whatever this is, I want to listen to more. And so be it.
Yeah, I think I went down the exact Kiss to Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angel and Deicide Path you did. So, you know, I totally get the, you know, you want, it's like drugs, you know, you always want like the next, you know, the first time you do it, you want one, the next time you do it, you want two. So I think that goes with music too. Not that I was ever huge into drugs. I don't know where that analogy came from, but,
well, yeah, it makes sense.
So after the Deicide tour, it looks like you guys are going out with Jungle Rot for a while. You know, on a headline run, how did that come about?
It's just trying to get back home at the end of the tour. You know what I mean? You know, it's always, you know, it's better shows when there's a package of bands, and we're road dogs, like I said. You know, and it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll, and it's even longer if you want to grind.
Yeah.
So, you know, so we're just doing some shows on the way back home, and so we've been friends with Jungle Rock for some time, and you know, the stronger the package, the more people will show up. You know what I mean? And it'll be the same. Some people probably, some Origin fans never heard Jungle Rock, and some Jungle Rock fans never heard Origin. So, you know, and this makes it a better show, in my opinion.
So with this coming out, what's the I guess the rest of the year look like for Origin after you get home?
We're doing after this tour, we have the Armstrong Metal Fest in British Columbia, which is kind of like a camping death metalcore thing. I mean, I know they did a thing where they had sledgehammers and smashed up a car, and I don't know. They do different kind of stuff there, so I don't know what they're bringing this year. I don't know if we're supposed to know yet, so it'll be interesting. And then I can't say yet, but we got some bucket list stuff at the end of the year that sounds like it's going to be confirmed. But some things that Origin has never done before, so it's nice to get one of those. You know, we've done 100 probably North American tours in Canada. Europe probably close to 20 times now, and Asia a couple times, Australia a couple times. So, you know, I'm kind of giving you a geography of something that maybe is a big event that we might end up being there towards the end of the year. And that's kind of it. That's confirmed right now. So looking forward to, finishing up and seeing what happens after this. And hopefully I can start on writing some new Origin and progress from what I've learned from this tour. And I always feel like I learned something from what works and what doesn't on being on the road. You know what I mean? What do we need to add dynamically to set? What else can we bring to make the show better sonically? You know what I mean? So just continue upwards and onwards.
Well, very good, man. Well, as we wrap it up here, man, like I said earlier in the interview, it's been very awesome to see the rise of you guys over the years, and to see you guys keep doing it and pop up on bills all the time. And you know, one of the few bands that I saw while I was out touring kind of rise to the occasion. So it's been great to watch you guys, you know, do your thing.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. I mean, yeah, we're just sometimes small town kid with some dreams of playing some grindcore, you know what I mean? So,
yeah. I
mean, I'm just a little older, and I don't know if I'm any wiser, but I'm trying to have as much fun doing it as I can. So it's nice to, know that people that have been around for a long time, still see the name, and, like, hey, man, I remember that band. It's a testament to how far we've actually came and how long it's been.
Yeah, you're going through a rough patch again, so I'll just let you get off here. Tell Glenn I said hello, and I'm sure he'll get a kick out of that. And I will see you on the road, man.
All right, man. Good chatting with you. Tell it was Cody, right?
Yeah, Cody. Yeah.
Tell Cody I said hello, and all the best to him, all right?
Hi, this is Jeff Walker from Carcass, and you're listening to Josh on Talk to Me. Yeah.
The victory of the Benton Deicide, and you're listening to Talk to Me.
All right, huge thank you to Paul Ryan for taking the time out on the DSI tour to catch up with the Talk To Me podcast. Thank you guys for listening each and every week. And so, for the Talk To Me podcast, I am Joshua Toomey, and I will talk to you soon.